Hi, Clay Daniel from Clayborne Education here to tell you a little bit about the Classic Learning Test. This is the test that I'm so enthusiastic about that I serve on the Board of Academic Advisors. It is a welcome addition to the standardized testing landscape. And I thought it would make sense to start by simply sharing its mission statement, because I think you're going to be surprised, hopefully pleasantly, about the reason the Classic Learning Test exists. It says this: CLT exists to reconnect knowledge and virtue by creating meaningful assessments and connections to seekers of truth, goodness, and beauty. Isn't that a surprising and wonderful mission statement for a standardized testing company? The idea behind CLT is that if testing, for better or for worse, is going to drive curriculum and is going to be an influential factor in what schools are inculcating in their students, why not make a test with the richest possible sources we can find? And so the C in CLT is very meaningful. Classic points, of course, to its connection to classical education, to an education that delights in introducing students to the best that has been thought and said, to the great books. And so when a student experiences the CLT, takes the CLT, they're much more likely to encounter texts by Aristotle and Augustine and Aquinas, in addition to more recent texts by, say, Frederick Douglass or Martin Luther King Jr. or a recent ambassador to the UN. It stretches the breadth of what the student experiences in taking a standardized test, and to my mind, actually makes the experience of preparing for a standardized test, which can be stressful, richer and more meaningful as part of the process. So to understand the CLT, I think you need to understand that first. But what about other advantages to taking the CLT? I want to mention two in particular. If you are a student or parent of a student who's considering the CLT, but also the SAT and the ACT. The CLT is a challenging test. It is rigorous in a good way. And for that reason, it has often been referred to as what's called a differentiator. That means that even if a college does not accept the CLT for admissions, a high score on the CLT is a remarkable sign of a student's ability in a way that can differentiate them from other students. So particularly if you are a student or the parent of a student who is classically educated, who has an educational background similar to what CLT will be testing, why not take advantage of a test that plays to your strengths? Even if you may have to, or in the case of test optional, want to submit an SAT or ACT as well, submitting a CLT score can often work to your advantage. So that concept of the differentiator is important there. The final thing I'm going to mention in this kind of introduction to the CLT is that the CLT is available as remotely proctored. It can be taken from the comfort of your own home. This was introduced during the COVID pandemic and is a great feature of the CLT. It's something that the SAT and ACT can't offer. I don't think, or certainly won't offer anytime soon. So it's a very accessible test for that reason. You can practice in the same place where you're going to be taking the test, right in the same spot, wherever that test taking nook is in your home. So the CLT is worth exploring for many, many students. It's accepted at hundreds of schools, but as I mentioned, it's a differentiator even at schools where it's not accepted. Worth looking into, and I'd love to talk to you about it more. You can find out directly from the source, cltexam.com, more about the CLT. Feel free also to browse our page, clayborne.com/CLT. And please give us a call, send us an email. I'd love to tell you more about the test and why it might be a great fit for you.